We're back. Problem number 8. Simplify the expression 12 minus the quantity 6y plus 5 minus 13y minus 10 plus 2y. I say I have this term in parentheses, so I have to take care of that first. That means I'm going to distribute this negative once, like there's a negative 1 in front of here. The other way to think about it is I just need the opposite of everything on the inside. Well, and when I do that, I can drop the parentheses and proceed like the previous problem. 12, what's the opposite of 6y? Well, negative 6y. What's the opposite of positive 5? Oh, that's going to be negative 5. Minus 13y minus 10 plus 2y. Okay, once I've done that, I just got to combine my like terms. So I have, sorry this thing's jumping around some. There's a negative 6y, there's a negative 13y, and there's a positive 2y. So if I was to combine these things, negative 6y, there's a negative 13y, and there's a positive 2y. So negative 6 and a negative 13 is negative 19. Oops, y. And negative 19 plus 2 is going to be negative 17y. My constants are going to be positive 12, negative 5, and negative 10. So I have plus 12 minus 5 plus negative 5, negative 10. So these two together are, negative 15. So I can think of this as plus 12 minus 15. And I can see it's same signs add them up, different signs subtract. So 15 minus 12 is 3. It's more negative. So it'll look like that. So negative 17y minus 3 is a simplified expression. Okay, now we've got two linear expressions. But since they're adding, there's two ways you can think about this. One, since they're adding, there's nothing to distribute. So literally I could just go like this. 16 minus 5d plus 16d minus 5. I could just drop the parentheses since there's nothing to distribute. And I can treat it just like the problem I did before, where I had to identify the like terms and combine them. So if I did that, I would have a negative 5d plus 16d, right? I'm going to highlight my terms with variables. And then my constants are going to be 16 and negative 5. So it's like plus 16 minus 5, plus 16 plus negative 5. And then when I do this, a negative 5d and a 16d is 11d. And 16 plus a negative 5 is no different than 16 minus 5 is plus 11. There's my answer. The other way we can look at this is to look at it vertically and just make sure we line up like variables. So the first one, I'm gonna write the first one here. I'm gonna put them in this order. I'm gonna switch. This is like plus 16, so I can write negative 5d plus 16, and then I'm gonna add to it the 16d and the negative 5. So I'm gonna make sure I line up like terms. So 16d minus 5, and I'm adding these two. So now I just look vertically. So I have a negative 5 and a positive 16. That's 11d. And I have a positive 16 and a negative 5. That's plus 11. With adding, though, you can simply drop the parentheses and just combine like terms. It's when you get to subtraction that you have to be a little more careful. And so let's make sure we're more careful. If I distribute the negative sign first across each term, then it turns into something that looks like this. 8n minus 12. What is the opposite of negative 19? Positive 19. N. And what's the opposite of negative 15? Oh, positive 15. And then we can proceed. 8n and 19n is 27n. Right? That's this term and this term. And then a negative 12 and a positive 15 is going to be plus 3. We can also do this vertically. Let me copy down the problem again. 8n minus 12 minus negative 19n minus 15. With subtraction, we can change it to addition by using keep, change, opposite. But we want to be careful what we're keeping, what we're changing, what's the opposite. So this I'm going to keep. My first term I keep. So I'm going to keep this piece. I'm going to change this. And I want the opposite of everything inside the parentheses. So I'm going to keep the first one. So let me write that down here. 8n minus 12. I'm going to change this to an addition problem. And I want the opposite of everything inside her. So what is the opposite of negative 19? Positive 19. What's the opposite of negative 15? Positive 15, or plus 15. I can write it that way. And now I look vertically. 8n plus 19n is 27n. I'm running out of space here. And I have a negative 12 and a positive 15. Again, it's going to be positive 3. And you notice that this result is the same as what I got here. Keep. So nothing changed inside this. I change the subtraction to addition, and I take the opposite of each term inside the parenthesis. Next. Completely factor the expression. I'm going to use this by simply, I'm going to factor by dividing by the greatest common factor. So what's the greatest common factor between 24 and 42? Well, greatest common factor is going to be 6. So my GCF in this case is 6. 6 is the largest number I can divide evenly into both 24 and 42. And if I factor completely, I should get that result. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide each term by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 6, and the z comes along, minus, right, that just comes along. 42 divided by 6 is 7. So I have this factor, and then my GCF comes out, 24 divided by 6 is not 6, it's 4. Yep, slip, I'd call that a slip. Then my GCF comes out on the outside. Now, how do I know if this is correct? Well, I can distribute. 6 times 4z is 24z, minus 6 times 7 is 42. And that's what I started with. So the factored form is 6 times the quantity, 4z minus 7. Sorry about that slip there. And where my factors are 6 and the quantity 4z minus 7. And I know I can't go any further because 7's prime and I can't break it apart anymore. And looks like I have one more problem here. Completely factor the expression 25y plus 60. I'll do this the other way just so I have a different way to show it. This other way we did it is we made ourselves a box. So we split into 2 pieces because I have 2 terms, and I put each term inside. So 25y goes here. Positive plus 60 goes here, positive 60. Again, though, what's the GCF between 25 and 60? In this case, it's going to be 5. So I'm going to put the 5 right here. That's my GCF. And now I think of it like a multiplication table. So 5 times what gives me 25y? Well, 5 times 5y gives me 25y. And 5 times what gives me positive 60? Well, 5 times 12 positive 12. And this is my factor form. 5 times 5y plus 12. It's like I'm looking at a multiplication table. And if I check it, 5 times 5y is 25y, plus 5 times 12 is 60. Bada bing, bada boom. It matches what I started with. Well, there is your solutions guide for this practice test. Use it wisely. Make your own notes from this, and so you're prepared next week. See ya.